Welcome to Mysterious Encounters. We have records of men who were giants, titans of strength and will. But some files contain more than a life story. They contain a paradox. He was a supernova of physical perfection, a man who, on screen, seemed truly invincible. How does a man who is the very definition of strength die from a simple headache? The official file is thin, but the unofficial one is miles deep. The official story reads like a tranquilizer. It's meant to calm, to explain away the chaos. On a sweltering July day in Hong Kong, Bruce Lee is at the apartment of actress Betty Ting Pei with his producer Raymond Chow. He complains of a headache. He takes an Equagesic. He lies down. He never wakes up. Hours pass. The initial story given to the public is a lie. When the truth finally emerges, the official cause is death by misadventure. But the story was full of holes. And into those holes, darkness flooded. When a life is lived with mythic intensity, it often attracts a mythic fate. Lee himself had premonitions of an early death when his son Brandon was killed by a 1-in-a-million accident 20 years later. The whispers became a roar. It was a curse. A narrative of a doomed bloodline, far more compelling than a simple allergic reaction. But perhaps the monster wasn't supernatural. Perhaps it grew from within. In recent years, a more grounded, terrifying theory has emerged. Severe heat stroke. The day Lee died was one of the hottest of the year. He had surgically removed his sweat glands. His body was a perfectly tuned engine, but it was running too hot with a volatile fuel. And his previous collapse 2 months earlier was the final warning he failed to heed. But to understand Hong Kong in the 1970s is to understand that every bright light casts a long shadow, and Bruce Lee's light was blinding. This world had its own rules, its own silent masters. Power does not like to be challenged. Lee was an outsider who had built his own kingdom. They say a debt was owed. Theories of a hidden hand, an undetectable weapon, persist. A vibrating palm, a delayed sentence delivered with a handshake days earlier. A perfect, untraceable murder. The only witness, a coerced participant, or a terrified victim, silenced by threats that lingered in the air long after his body was removed. Her apartment became a tomb for a secret. The walls had ears, and then they had a voice, and it spoke only lies. So what truly killed Bruce Lee? The search for a single cause is a fool's errand. The truth is likely a perfect storm. A man whose body was already compromised, who pushed himself past every rational limit. A man who may have had a fatal combination of substances in his system, all culminating in a final catastrophic system failure. He preached being formless, like water, able to adapt to any opponent. But in the end, his own rigid pursuit of perfection made him brittle. The final pressure point was applied, and he shattered. The mystery endures.